Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be working on this engine. I got the opportunity to buy this a little while back. It's an N-scale SD40 drive system, and it looks to be in really good shape, so we're going to inspect it, clean it, and lubricate it. Although it doesn't look like it needs much. Probably I put it on the track, it runs fine. These are very, very good runners. I don't have a shell for it, but here's my solution. This is an engine I've had for a few years. I used it as a donor to save other engine. I saved 3 engines with this. And also before I started using it for parts, I did run it like that, and I enjoyed running it. So a lot of these you will see the trucks keep falling off. So I did a video about that. My trucks keep falling off. It's just a little pin here. Just this little pin that's fragile. So if you try to get the shell off and you pull on the truck, which is a little bit natural to do, you could break this and that would be bad. At any rate, I used it many of its parts. I used the 2 trucks, I used the motor to save another engine. So I'm basically left with just the frame. SD40 is a little tab you can pull on to get the shell off. This is a custom paint, and it's also a custom engine, SD40 high hood. So the guy that painted this actually did good. This could so easily be repainted for Norfolk Southern. Or even CP Rail bought these, believe it or not. CP Rail bought them and they wore them out till the end. And that could have been a project where I repaint this for CP Rail. Yeah, you can see I took the motor, I took the trucks off of it. So I'm still keeping this. You never know. It might be useful for something. But now I've got my nice shell. Looks awesome. The decals deteriorated a little bit here. I'm going to take some white paint and I'm going to paint this off. And also, I also used the horn for something else. He put the horn somewhere in the middle. I can't see the holes for it, but I know he put the horn somewhere in the middle. So you just take one of your very small brushes and then you can just touch this up. Nice and easy. Also, one of the safety rails is lost its paint. I'm gonna redo them. There's a little bit of paint on the frame here. I'm gonna scrape that off. I'm gonna inspect the rest of these. To do that, it's best to remove the handrails from the frame. And also I'm gonna change out the couplers while I've got the thing in my hands. Much easier to do. So let me separate this off camera. You'll see the handrails hold this in a little bit, and the windows. So as you spread it out, be very mindful that your handrails are free and that your windows are free also. So I want to take my time here. So once all your stops are off, very easy to pull them apart. And then I can pull apart the handrails. I just pry under that last step. That will separate it. To do the safety rails, I find it really worthwhile to take a minute, remove them from the shell. That will prevent you putting yellow paint on your frame or on your pilot beam. In N scale, you know, when you're running the trains, you don't see all that detail, but it still feels better, you know, to know that it's done right. So yes, just pry gently on that, and then that frame is gonna get the safety rails repainted. And if there's any yellow on here, I can scrape that. I'm gonna scrape it. Yeah, the couplers can fall out, that's not a problem. Then I'm gonna scrape it with my nail so I don't wreck anything. Yeah, I don't like this yellow there. That doesn't look too good to me. Anyways, I'll work on this off camera. Having the handrails off allows you to come in and be very precise. And specifically, you're not gonna leave any paint on your frame. Also makes it easier to get to the inside. So while my paint dries, I'm going to take a little bit of time on my drive system. I'm just going to remove these two screws. Oh yeah, don't forget the light shields and the little lights. So these are not DCC compatible. Some people do it. They just grind out part of the frame to make room for their decoders. So far I'm just happy running them with DC. So that hasn't been a big problem. I suppose that, so these don't have to worry too much about the order because they have a little arrow. The arrow will go to the outside, right there. So you don't have to worry about the order too much. And then you do have these little insulators. These things, you want to keep them. This is a nice drive. I don't think it even needs anything, but I'm still going to lubricate it just to say that I did something. So I just put a little drop of oil just by the plastic bearing, and that's it. Just one drop on each side, and that's all you need. And then I'll just rotate it with my finger a little bit, and then I will rotate it on the bench. You should get no noise whatsoever. So these are my test leads. All it is an old Beckman power pack, and I have two wires leading out of it and going up to my bench, and that's it. So it runs perfectly, no surprise there. I always test them both sides just to be sure. Most of the work that I do is on the trucks. The truck is where power is lost, but these I run them with my finger. I can tell everything's super duper. I'm still gonna clean them though. So yeah, this is where power is lost. If you have dirty wheels, your locomotive could not function at all. So that's always important. And there's other ways of cleaning the wheels. I just like to take everything apart and put them back together. That's me. So everything looks clean there. I am gonna run the side frames under my tap with some dish soap and my toothbrush. And then the wheels and the gearboxes, they get the same treatment. But I also cleaned them with my rag. And these wheels, they're interchangeable. So you don't have to worry about remembering the order. They're all the same. Honestly, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how Kato gets the locomotives running so smoothly. You can go on the Japanese Kato website guaranteed all those Japanese locomotives run good, and guaranteed there's Kato fans in Japan. They just applied the same technology to US models. Thankfully, a bunch of people buy them. If no one bought them, they wouldn't be making them. So altogether, all of us that buy them, we're keeping the business alive. I don't know if you've read the economic news lately, but the interest rates keep going up, and that's getting people down. So hopefully people can focus on the future and pull through. I know I'm going to be okay. I've got a good attitude toward that stuff. So there you go, squeaky clean. I'm going to clean everything and then we'll put it back together. Well, okay, now that everything is clean, I can put everything back together. So I start with the gearbox, and then I just add my wheels. Oh, before I do that, I know for sure I'm gonna want to re-gauge them. They look okay, but I think I can do just a little bit better. So this thing is actually old enough that it still says KD on it. So that was a good purchase actually. Bought that probably 40 years ago, and I still use it. Oh, these are tight. Wow. I think I might just end up running them like that. Yep, that's probably the best idea. I don't want to fight with these for half an hour. It's not going to make that much difference to the way it runs. Even going over switches. I don't know if you guys are paying attention. On my layout, there's no switches. I did that on purpose because these are good. These SD40s are good. They never stall. But there's some of the models that I have a little bit fussier, especially steam engines, Backman steam engines. So by not having any switches, that alleviates a lot of problem. And the main thing that I do for my hobby that I enjoy, there's a hair in my gear. That's a hair that I just put in. Anyways, the main train running that I do is big trains, mainline trains, so there's not too much switching that I do. I would be a candidate for an around the room layout or a dog bone where I can just run my big trains. Alright, so that runs pretty good. Test it with your fingers, and then you can bring in, make sure your bearings are in their end caps. There's a little pin here to hold them together. So make sure you have that properly, but check it with your finger. Feels very good. And then we can bring in the side frames. And then you can do the exact same thing to the other side. For some reason my side frames don't line up properly. And then you'll snap it in. There. Test it again. So that's real good. The contact strips, they didn't fall out this time. I just cleaned them with my finger like that. And that happens to be enough for that. So I'm almost ready to put everything back together. They go under this pin and over this one. And they don't, you can see they don't have much of a bend. They don't really need a lot. They need just to be under the frame like that. That is gonna be perfect. I'll do the same thing to the other one. Just make sure that it's clean with my finger. And that's good. That's all you need. And then I'll put the other frame half. And then I can put the fuel tank that's going to hold my contact strips together. Just make sure they're lined up properly. So the front of the engine is this low part here, and the two little filler holes go towards the front. There. And then I can bring in my two trucks. So these, I don't fight with them too hard because I do not want to break that pin. I'm checking for the arrow. So I just spread out the frame just a little bit to bring them in. Same thing if you want to go the other way, you can bring in the you can remove the trucks without removing everything. You can just spread out the frame, remove the two screws and spread out the frame, and that will allow you to drop the trucks. Just do it nice and easy. Double check that your contact strips are touching this pin. If they're out of alignment, that means you have to go back and fix that. This is looking real good. So I'm going to put my two little nuts and the screw, and I can tighten them all the way. I'm using gravity as my friend to keep my trucks in their proper place. Yeah, on my layout right now, I have wide curves and no switches, so I can run Bachmann steam engines, but I also run really cool streamlined and semi-streamlined long passenger trains. That's what I do for my Christmas vacation. I get out the name trains. So that's looking real good so far. Let's go try it on the track. So there's just some power, put some power on there. Let's see what's gonna happen. Probably would run better if I put the engine on the rails properly. It's nice and smooth and super quiet. Let's check out the other direction. Awesome. Don't forget to put your lights back on. And then I think I'm gonna forego the light shield. Maybe I can get the light to shine through here a little bit. That would be really cool. Now I'm gonna reassemble the body together, but before I do, I'm gonna switch out the couplers. So that some of my SD40s still have rapidos, especially my Pen Central stuff. Although if you've seen my DCC videos, the Pen Central DCC stuff has these things, micro trains. They're awesome. So these are unassembled, so that makes them a little bit cheaper, and they come in a pack of 10 pair, so you can do 10 engines with this. So that's really cool. I want to put them together off camera because there's a tiny little spring here that goes in there, and there's a little bit of swearing involved with that, so I want to keep it kid friendly. Even in the instruction it tells you, please do not swear. Swearing doesn't help. Please God, give me patience now. They provide you with a shim. I'm not sure I'm gonna need it. Well, maybe. Yeah, I think it would be better. I am gonna check with my microtrain's height gauge just to be sure. But I think this is gonna be good. It's looking real good actually. And then I'll just put this retainer pin, the same that was holding my my rapido couplers, but I'm gonna remove that spring. That spring can be used better probably somewhere else. And then I'll come in and put that on. It's a lot easier with just the cylinder in your hands to get that done. And then just snap that in, then we'll do the other side. I suppose you could glue it in, or you can put a little screw. There's little screws provided with the box with the micro trains. And then you could put the little screw if you want. I'm just very comfortable using these retainers. There, now I'm gonna put the shell back together and we'll put it on the drive. So I took a good look at the pictures of this engine. Turns out the Southern would have a horn at each end, so I'm just gonna skip that. And these brown microtrains couplers are really snazzy. So I'm just gonna put these together. Looks great. And now it's time to run some trains. This other SD45 that I'm running with it, it's also a custom paint. And it's pretty nice. Except that it should be a high hood unit. But I'm still gonna run it. They're gonna look good together. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly had fun making it for you. See you soon.